Hello people of YouTube, 'tis I once more, the Crimson Assassin, here today to give you guys another anime review for the weekend, because you know, why not? It's a weekend. You know, you guys deserve an anime review for the weekend. Why not? So today, people of YouTube, we're going to review the anime done by Studio Trigger, the guys that made Kill la Kill, what, 2 years ago? I mean, we haven't heard from anything about this studio for like, God knows how long, 2 years, holy shit. And they made this new anime that came out during the last season of the animes, Kiznaiver. Now, explaining the story is pretty damn hard. Explaining the story of Kiznaiver is very hard, and to try to avoid spoilers, I'll try to do the best explanation as I can. So the story of Kiznaiver basically follows Agata Katsuhira, an emotionless main protagonist anyway, an emotionless main protagonist who cannot feel pain for God knows what reason, I can't tell you that, but anyway, he can't feel this reason, and he's basically being forced to do this experiment by this woman named Sonozaki, as, you know, she pairs these group of people who have different personalities in this experiment called the Kizuna experiment, where basically they feel each other's pain, and like, if they feel pain, that means everyone feels pain. And it's basically up to them to do these missions in order to strengthen their bond as, you know, different individuals, and hopefully, down in the future, become friends, because, you know, why not? Friendship is what's important in anime, you know? So, you basically kind of follow these 7 people while they're doing this experiment, and that's all I could really explain to you without spoiling much. So, people of YouTube, I've heard absolutely nothing about Kiznaiver. In fact, I really haven't heard anything about the anime until about a week ago, when, you know, I was kind of scrolling through Crunchyroll, and I saw this anime called Kiznaiver, and when I saw that it was one of the new animes for 2016, I'm like, well, I gotta review that, because it's the new anime, and I gotta start watching newer animes nowadays. So, without any hesitation, I watched Kiznaiver, and all I have to say is meh. It's meh. First off, I will always give praise to this, but the animation done by Studio Trigger, the guys that made Kill la Kill. I mean, how long has it been since we heard from these people? Since, what, 2013? It's been over 2 years now. Don't get that back, 3 years now. And we've never heard anything from these guys. Well, now they made this anime called Kiznaiver, and the animation is solid. I mean, just the various backgrounds and the various character designs for each character, it's all stand out, and it's so much filled with energy. Like, there's a lot of things being shown in the backgrounds of the anime, and it's very lifelike. It's so, it's. I feel so alive, kind of seeing these guys again. I kind of felt like they really took that same kind of animation format for like the normal scenes in Kill la Kill and applied it to a more narrative story. I do like the animation for Kiznaiver. It's very solid. The story is one of the best stories I've ever heard. Well, I mean, it is one of the best stories in anime, as in for 2016. I mean, I've seen animes that have really epic stories, like, you know, freaking Code Geass and Death Note and all those other stuff. They had a really emphasis on story. This anime fully focuses on its story. Not to say that it's a bad thing, it's actually one of the best things about the anime. The story of the anime is probably one of the most unique, one of the most creative, and possibly one of the most interesting, and really, I had a whole lot of fun watching the story. In fact, I was more interested in the story than the characters. it just has so many twists and so many turns. I absolutely love it, and especially there's these few reveals towards the end of the anime that caught me completely off guard. The story is probably the best thing about this anime. The best thing. We'll get into that in a bit. The characters, I won't say story, but the characters of the anime. Most of them I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed most of the characters of Kiznaiver. Some of the other characters, I mean, we'll get into that later. But the few characters that I really liked are mainly 5 of them. Number 1, my favorite character, the one character that reminds me of another character that the same studio has created before, but you know, I cannot really put my finger on what character they kind of focused on when they were making this one, was definitely Nico. I like this girl. I like her personality. I like her quirkiness, her style, her everything. She's a very fun, unique character, and like I said, she reminds me of a certain character from a certain anime that the same studio has created in the past, but I can't really put my finger on which one. But I do like Nico a lot. She had a lot of personality. She had a decent amount of character development. I did like her a lot as a character. Another character that I actually surprisingly liked was this character named Maki. Usually, I tend to bash the cold, distant kind of characters. But Maki, is quite different from those other cold, distant characters. Yes, she's very cold, she's very, mean, she's very unlikable at first, but once you actually hear what she's about and why she doesn't, is very cold, very distant, very, not open with herself, it's very interesting. Out of all the characters in the anime, she had the most development. You get her backstory, you get a reasoning, you get an understanding, but you can argue that, does those reasons, justify what she does throughout the anime? Absolutely not, but you get an understanding on where she's coming from. Why is she so cold? Why is she so distant? I understand that. And I usually tend to hate those cold, distant characters. But you might say, oh, but why you like Maki so much, but you hate freaking characters like the main protagonist from My Little Monster, Shizuku. Well, it's because, Shizuku absolutely had no reason to be cold, distant, or cold-hearted. She had no reason to. Maki had a reason, okay? And that's the thing. I don't mind the cold-hearted characters as long as there's a reason why they're being cold-hearted. You can't just have a character be cold-hearted, just for the sake of them being, mean and cold-hearted. And, word of the day, people, cold-hearted. But I do like her character a lot. Another character that I really liked is a guy named Tenga. I like this guy. He freaking, much like Nico, had a lot of personality, had a lot of, cool moments, had a lot of serious moments. I do like her character, his character a lot. Tenga was fun. Also, another character named Chidori. The main protagonist's childhood friend. Usually, the childhood friend, then the childhood friend and the main character's relationship is always kind of cold and distant, but this one, they sort of have a decent relationship and it's kind of meh, to say the least, but, it's just, I'm gonna get into a few things, because, I'm kind of holding in a lot of things, because I can't really spoil too much, but then again, there's a fucking thing inside me that wants to bash this anime to pieces, because guys, even though I do like this anime for the most part, there are a ton of issues with it, and following some of the characters. Some of the characters, like I mentioned before, I like a majority of the characters, but the few characters I really didn't like, the one and biggest character that I actually am going to talk about Okay, this other character that I don't like, he's just a masochist, okay, and he had absolutely no reason to be there. But the main character, Katsuhira, is probably the most boring, the most blandest, the most unoriginal main protagonist I have ever seen, ever. In fact, he is without question the most blandest character I have ever met. Okay, fucking Karasuma Oji from fucking School Rumble has way more personality than Agata. Okay, he's boring. He is bland. He is unoriginal. He is boring. Okay? He has no emotions, okay? And, okay, this is a trope in anime lately that I just cannot stand. I cannot stand the emotionless main protagonist, okay? It's getting out of hand at this point because, you know, in some cases it works, okay? Like, for example, Jotaro. Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He is sort of emotionless, but yet he had so much charisma, had so much personality, and, you know, he was kind of, you know, he was just an all likable character because he had a lot of screen time, had a lot of cool moments, had a lot of epic moments. I like Jotaro because of that. But characters like Agata, he's just so bland. His voice is just like this all the time, you know. It's just that, you know, I don't want this situation to go on anymore. It's just like, he's so boring. Like, this is the most boring main protagonist I've ever seen. I've seen worse main protagonists. That fucking, the Yosuke from Green is 10 times worse than this guy, but fucking he had more personality than him. Okay? That's going somewhere. Okay? I don't like the main protagonist. He's just boring. Very boring. Some of the characters need more screen time than other characters, like I mentioned before. Tenga, albeit is a very nice character, you don't really get a lot of character development out of him. You just get enough of character development to, like, you get enough screen time for him to be likable. But you don't really get a lot of character development. Like, what's his backstory? Like, the only really thing you know about this character is that he's afraid of dogs. Like, you could have actually expanded upon that. Why is he afraid of dogs? And, you know, you could have made him more of a fleshed out character. But no, he's just pushed off to the side. Same as Chidori. Why is Chidori friends with Agata, this boring piece of shit main protagonist? You know, why? Okay, and apparently she had feelings for him. And speaking of the romance, I hate the romance in this anime. There is a forced romance in this anime. Served absolutely nothing. It served absolutely no purpose to the story. It served absolutely nothing. You don't get character development. You don't even get an explanation on why they like each other. And, like, the thing is, it could have worked had it been for them kind of fleshing out the character. Okay? Like, you could have fleshed these characters out. And hell, it's not just, you know, it's just not like just one main couple. No, there's in fact this love line. Not a love triangle, but a love line. Like, this person likes that person, but the person that she likes that person, but the person that she likes that person. And there's only one relationship that's sort of has romance, but yet it, again, serves absolutely nothing, and they don't even end up being together at the end. In fact, none of these characters kind of ended up being the end, except the main character. Oops, spoiler. But the romance served nothing. Absolutely nothing. I hate forced romance. Why? Why is there this forced romance? I hate that. Fucking hate that. And the ending. It just ends. Okay, it's sort of, and I feel like the ending was kind of rushed, cause again, like, there were so many things happening all at once, yet they weren't fleshed out even more. Like, you could have, again, expanded on a lot of things. I mean, the story itself is very solid, but there's a lot of things in the story that need explaining. And the ending kind of needed to be a little longer. Had this anime be like Kill la Kill's length, had it be like 25 episodes, and had them being, you know, more fleshed out with the characters, then I probably wouldn't have a problem with this anime. But there's just so many things I don't like about this anime that really bog it down. The forced romance was just so unnecessary, served absolutely nothing. A lot of the characters, like I mentioned before, need more screen time to really be developed and more fleshed out. The ending's a piece of shit, and it has the most boring main protagonist ever. And hell, I haven't even mentioned a few other characters, okay? Like this one fucking masochist kid, which I totally forgot his name, served absolutely no purpose to the story. These two fucking bullies that they follow the main characters around served no purpose. These two counselors, or like these two people that help Sonozaki in this experiment, served no purpose whatsoever. They just felt like freaking... I'm not even gonna finish that last line, because I'm done. This anime is not bad, per se. No, in fact, this anime is pretty decent. Probably the best thing about this anime is its story, okay? The story of the anime is probably the best and possibly like the only redeeming factor upon this anime. Because there's just so many things that kind of plague this anime. Had this anime been longer, I wouldn't have too much issues with it. But it just needed to be said that these issues really bog it down, okay? So my final score for Kiznaiver is a solid 6 out of 10. It's okay. Not one of the best animes I've ever seen, but possibly the best story I've ever seen, especially for this year. It has probably the best story in anime, at least for this summer 2006 anime experience. But I do hope Trigger, you know, gets more work like this in the first place, because, you know, it's kind of nice hearing from these guys again, but they should kind of go back to like the over-the-top action comedies that Kill la Kill was. I feel like you guys should just go back to that. But other than that, the anime is very solid, okay? It's not the best, it's okay. It's a 6 out of 10. I mean, I would possibly, out of all the animes out there, I would kind of say skip this one, because it's okay, it's decent, not the best. That's going to wrap this anime review up. Hopefully next week I'll have another anime review. I'm hoping it. This time it'll be Bungyo no Stray Dogs, but we'll have to see about that. There's also a couple other animes I want to watch. There's freaking the possibility of another reaction video coming later on. I can't say. But other than that, people of YouTube, this is the Crimson Assassin, and I'm signing out. Peace, YouTube.